Hello.
Oh.
Hello, hello.
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 Whoa.
So we're going to be one short of a full house. Is that correct? No Dr. Kurtstad?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Dr. Kurt's dad.
Oh,
I've heard Kirby yet.
Is there a limit how many you can get in here?
what's that?
Is there a limit as how many you can get in here?
No,
Oh,
no. I've seen some of
I said
these.
you were going to be one
I've
short.
There's the people's Zoom screens where they have like, I don't know. It's probably like 4 or 5 by 4 or 5.
It's like several Brady bunches together.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one, the movie Wet Hot American Summer did a live read a couple weeks back, and they had at least like 30 to 40 Zoom windows. That was crazy.
Wow.
Okay, well, I am going to take a picture of this one here. I don't know if I can do screenshots on the computer, so I'm doing one here, but because we have quite a few people, so.
Smile, everybody.
Done.
Well,
Okay. All right, I got everybody's list all set up here. We will just roll right into it. Okay, and then the order will be myself, Damon, David, Kirby, Katie, Jim, and Eric.
Okie
All right. Recording for audio. There we go. This will be the most crucial usage of this expression ever. Time is of the essence. I'm Anthony.
I'm Damon.
I'm David.
I'm Kirby.
I'm Katie.
I'm Jim.
Eric.
Welcome to issue number 160 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast. Each and every week, we meet here to talk about comic books. This week, we have an action-packed show, not only with our lineup of club members, but as well as segments. We have a club discussion for the final issue of X-Ray Robot with issue number 4. Then we will do a weekly segment. We're going to go all the way around the internet, talk about the books that we've been reading, both new and old. Then, over in the news, we will cover the Marvel and DC Comics preview picks that we suggest for items that are coming out in February 2021 and beyond. And our brand new segment will make another appearance. It is the Pocket Dimension, which is basically our show and tell segment. So for anybody here that didn't previously have something, you got some time to think. If you got anything fun that you wanted to share, we'll do that at the end. So first, we will go ahead and jump into our club discussion, which this week it is for the final issue of X-Ray Robot, issue number 4. And we have Mike and Laura Allred and Nate Picos as the creative team. And there's also a variant cover from Trad Moore, which I was very excited for because Trad Moore was the artist with Dave Stewart on Silver Surfer Black. So that was cool to get the Trad Moore variant as well. Okay, so a little recap of X-Ray Robot. So basically, this is a story about a scientist, Max Wilding, whose his team is on the verge of discovering interdimensional travel. They create a robot who is sent to record activity in other dimensions, but are eventually greeted by the X-Ray robot, who happens to be Max from like 277 years from the future, I think, warning him that all of reality is at a threat and is being destroyed by the ultimate nihilist. Now, the group of scientists have to travel to other dimensions to locate the original X-ray robot to kind of loop everything back together. run into alternate versions of themselves, weird versions of life, a trash island where some handsome schmuck is wanted by the FBI. Ultimately, they find this safe place where basically if everything would be destroyed, this vessel would be the seed to build an all new reality. And that is basically where we left it off with issue number 3. This is now issue number 4. Got some weird, if you're watching the YouTube video, you got a crazy thing going on here with
Ooh.
a triple. It is a real 3D effect here with the comic, the shirt, and the backdrop there. Okay,
Cool.
so issue number 4. The overall recap is the idea of learning about this safe place, basically learning how life and reality and all of that stuff was created. We have the concluding adventures of our team jumping in and out of these different dimensions and trying to locate the X-ray robot. We got ourselves a battle once again with the ultimate nihilist, and then eventually we have our conclusion. So we will kick it off kind of with this opening where we left it with this vessel as we find out that the X-ray robot basically has been collecting people throughout time, basically people of let me get the exact people of empathy, common sense, intelligence, creativity, and goodwill. Basically having all these people that if the realities all get destroyed, that these people together can kind of create a brand new one. And that was all after the very quick explanation of how life is created and sort of a reincarnation as we see the little explanation. So let's talk about this opening scene here explaining that. Anyone want to jump in with any thoughts or questions or comments?
Well, I want to say if I had been drawn in, I think I would have wanted to have been drawn in as one of the people who were collected because of their intelligence and empathy and all that stuff. I think that would have been a great place to be drawn in. But
that would have been nice, but that would have probably that would have relied on a lot of Mike trusting that these people that pledged to be in this book that were actually good people, and maybe he could write them that way, but instead he's like, you know what, we have to just assume the worst. We have to assume that
that they'd be wanted by the FBI.
Yeah, exactly. So he kind of went the other way with that. There is somebody though. Well, yeah, it's in the next scene, so I'll talk about that later. But yeah, we'll go back to the vessel scene there.
Well, we get this universe's version of God, which in a way talks about this being in a way that it's somewhat like ambiguous enough to cover different versions of gods without like being this offensive, like to anybody who has a certain religion, to say, wait a minute, what's this? This isn't my God. They do keep it like that, for anybody who believes that man was created in God's image. You have this humanoid looking person who's been around forever, always existed, thus answering the question of who created God. It's just time has been, a thing forever. So this being has existed forever. And actually, it would be interesting to have Dr. Kurtzstad kind of weighing in on that. He would be like the perfect person to be able to discuss this. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. But talking about the creation of men, it covers reincarnation without exactly saying, yes, reincarnation is a thing. It just kind of leaves it to, kind of like, well, yeah, call it that to keep it simple, So it does this thing where it sets up a God and religion type things for this universe that kind of give an explanation to how this works without stepping on anyone else's toes necessarily.
Yeah, and this being ultimately, they had said that it was created out of loneliness, this being who then divided itself to create all other beings. That was kind of interesting. So, any other thoughts on that whole idea before we move on to the next scene at all?
I did think that it was interesting with this group of people that it's some of the smartest people and things like that, but it's not. You don't have Tesla and Einstein and Mother Teresa and those well-known people. And it might be that these people were plucked, and that's why we don't know who they are, because they were plucked out of their times, and so we never got to know who they were, what they were capable of. As opposed to, well, I mean, if you just plucked some famous person, you grab Abraham Lincoln out of time and pluck him out. Well, what happens to that timeline that you just plucked him out of? He's not history doesn't continue on as it would have. But they don't explain any of these things on how time works, and that's, in one way, it's a way that makes this kind of work, is not going into these long explanations that people could argue. But at the same time, it's also probably a downside of this story, is that it is so brief and so vague on the explanations that you don't get to delve into that kind of stuff. It doesn't become this intellectually challenging story that something like this could be.
And that could also be a good plug for his other work, Madman, because it really dives into, the meaning of life and things like that. And right away on that opening page, the X-ray robot will saying, "Well, I'm going to keep it brief," and he goes, "Simpler the better." But
I can think of another good plug for Madman, but we'll get on with that.
Yeah, that might come up later. But yeah, he kind of deals with the, Mike Allred himself deals with existential anxiety, which is actually what was rooted out of the creation of the documentary Space Face that his son Han is doing, which ultimately led to the pledges and allowing me to be in issue 3. But Mike Allred has suffered from existential anxiety starting at the age of 5, and basically seeing the ceiling open up, and he was kind of panicking over the idea of life ending as well as life never ending. And he actually had to be calmed down by his mother because he was screaming in his room. And his mom came in, kind of calmed him down, and kind of had him focus on, like, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? And that kind of got him out of that spell. But that was something that actually continues to his life today. Like every 5 or 6 years or so, he has these attacks. And it was, I think it was in Han's late teens when he actually witnessed this of his father, because it's not something that they're just going to outwardly tell their children, like, hey, this is what I go through. They basically kind of kept it to themselves. But once his son had kind of seen that firsthand, that ultimately led him to think of life in a different way, create this documentary that's Space Face movie. And Mike has instilled that into the Madman character and all the adventures that the character goes on and thinks and everything. So there is some of that rooted in here. So yeah, if you want a little bigger explanation beyond that, that's actually a good plug for Madman, which starting next year will be in a hardcover library edition. I think up to 6 volumes. There's going to be 600 pages per volume. Going to collect everything for the last 30 years. And it is confirmed that in that final volume, the X-ray robot will be a part of that. So I will be collected into those hardcovers as well. So I'm sure he'll probably put my face down in the corner in the flip book, because he does all the flip book pages on his original issue. So there'll probably be my face 600 times.
Yeah, actually, it could be a motion thing when the picture's being taken. It'll be that, okay, turn, so you can get the profile picture.
Yeah, I'll provide him with all the references he needs. So, but yeah, we'll jump into the next thing. Is we're basically a scene that is just kind of collecting everybody out of those other dimensions, including the one with Dr. Osamu, who there's a guy that's in that orange vest, orange jacket that kind of comes up and recognizes him as the doctor in this world where, there's a statue built of him here. This guy in the orange, I think, might be one of the pledge members. He might be somebody that Mike knows too. And because this is definitely a bigger scene, but I saw that got thrown into the Twitter feed and he was kind of flipping out about, his role in there and everything. So yeah, that is one of the other roles, I believe. So, but I don't trust this guy. I think this guy could also be wanted by the FBI. Let's just get that out there. But yeah, and then we also have the scene, which as we see in the backdrop here from cover A, of Marnie, who is on the rooftop and basically is being called back in through the X-ray robot through portals, and that goes to going back to Max Wilding, who lands on a porch of a house, and he goes inside. And he's kind of being drawn up to the upstairs, and we run into a very familiar face in the Mike Allred universe, Madman, Frank Einstein himself. Originally, when I had pledged and was kind of wondering, like, ooh, I wonder, I was originally going to be in issue number 4, which was going to be this one. So now my brain's thinking, in an alternate reality, maybe I'm that orange vest guy, and I get to appear in the same issue as a physical Madman. Eventually, I was thrown into issue number 3 because he had a better idea based on the side profile shots and everything. But I did appear with all the Madman comics in that trash heap, so I'm pretty happy with that. But we do see Madman here, so for anybody who has read this but has never read any Madman, you don't really get too much, to really understand who he is. But it does prove that this is all part of the Madmaniverse, if you will. So we have Madman, X-ray robot.
Just a quick thing. Am I correct? Did they throw a song reference in there? I feel like they did. It's on the tip of my tongue as to what song it is too.
In this scene particular, or
yeah, with Madman.
with the hello?
Yes.
Is it
I'm
me?
gonna pull up.
Oh, let go.
I'm gonna get my copy and find it because vaguely referencing it is very helpful.
I'm looking for.
I made that interpretation and I thought it was pretty cool and very on brand. And it was actually really Madman in here.
Yeah,
I keep
Newing.
wanting to call him Mad Max, which is something completely different.
A little bit.
Which is funny because the other character in this book is Max. So if these two were to hook up, their relationship holiday name is Mad Max.
Well, I was thinking that's even better than I was thinking. That just explains why my brain was substituting the two. But no, the Madman and Max Wilder team up relationship, that would be actually pretty cool. That'd be funny. Good one. I like it. Good work.
You had the assist there. I wouldn't have gotten there without the assist into that layup. So to use some sports terms for our sports listeners.
That's right. Yep. Good team. Good teamwork.
But yeah. Any thoughts on these scenes at all? Anyone want to jump in?
Well, I will say as we get into this and the Ultimate Nihilist appears, there are a number of things in this book as it wraps things up that I was disappointed in, and most have to do with just unanswered questions. Something that if this was going on further, I'd be okay with, but because this is the final issue, there's certain things that it leaves you with these questions, and one of them is that it never actually explains the Ultimate Nihilist.
I agree.
Who it actually is, how it came into being, and all that. There's no explanation for that, which was disappointing for me. I mean, they do, the overall story is summed up, and they do that job, but there's things like that where there's no explanation for, and maybe the plan is to delve into this again. Maybe there will be some sort of sequel to this. But the way it all works out in the end, you kind of assume that there's not necessarily going to be. So that makes it that kind of disappointing, unanswered question type of feeling. But as far as how Max becomes the X-ray robot, well, you start to see some of that here, and and in the course of things, presumably they end that from happening, but there's a start to it, and there's some very brutal things that happen to Max as he's jumping in and out of these time portal, time reality portal things, and his battle with the ultimate nihilist.
Yeah, going off of what you said about, it's understandable about the, not knowing the identity of the hero or the villain and going into that. While I don't see like X-Ray Robot 2, like, a subtitle one or sequel or anything like that, but I'm curious to see if he would do, because he had, 2 pages of Madman here. He didn't really do much. He just happened to be there and tried saving him. And he's kind of in the portal-ish, sort of. I mean, we're left to not really knowing what happened to Madman. So it would be fun if he always tries to do like a Madman special every now and then if he's not doing an ongoing or a miniseries. So it would be kind of fun to kind of see Madman in this house, and then all of a sudden this happened, and then we see, maybe even more off of that. But that's, I guess, time will tell. Time is of the essence.
Yeah, I do agree. I felt similarly. I really liked this series, and I wanted more. And a good series should leave you do that. However, I felt there were a couple key elements from this series that would have really benefited from maybe another book. Now, obviously, 2020 being what it is, I totally understand why they couldn't do that. But yeah, I did feel like we were just right there with the amount of jeopardy that they set up. Like, the world is in peril, the whole universe is in peril, so don't mess this up. And we never got quite the full wave of that coming down on us. It felt like they were yanked out just in time. I would have liked to see them maybe embrace and solve that conflict a little bit more, but I still really enjoyed it. I liked the different universes our heroes jumped through. It was kind of cool because it showed like different aspects of their personality. Like Dr. Osamu, he kind of likes the idea of getting some recognition for his work. And one of the other scientists, Marnie, the research scientist, was, obviously appalled by, in this other universe, she was having.
Yep.
I think Katie froze up.
Sometimes she'll come back in like a couple seconds, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, we'll jump over to Kirby. Any thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, I liked it as usual. And you guys talk about it being over and stuff, and that doesn't have to be over. I mean, they can easily go on. They destroy the main robot part of it, but they keep all their other experiments going on. You worry about the ultimate nihilist being gone and not explained, but if you look in the end, there is little particles of the ultimate nihilist that still end up in the laboratory. I mean, anything could be reformed or regenerated or come from anything. And when you look at the godlike character in the beginning, I mean, at first I thought of myself, you guys are living in my reality, and this is me, and this is how I started my reality. But then I thought about it a little further. It's like, that could have been Mike Allred. But then you see Madman in there, that could be Madman. I mean, we could be living in Madman verse. And it's like, but I don't know, I was happy. And the groups of people that they collected that were highly intelligent and stuff, they were also people that were not controlling, not destroying, they're not thinking that thoughts. I mean, you put people like Tesla and Einstein together, all they're going to do is argue and fight over things. And just because you're famous for something doesn't mean you're highly intelligent or you're worth a shit down the road. I mean, you could sit there and build a nuclear bomb, and that makes you smart, but that doesn't make you smart intellectually to make life go on. You're thinking about stuff to destroy life. So I mean, there's a lot of ways that this can be taken without looking at aspects of that, in my opinion.
Plus, going off of that, I am famous from issue number 3 of this series, and I took algebra twice back in high school. So, I mean, that just proves your point. So, Katie.
Yep.
Did you want to finish up thoughts? You had kind of stalled there.
Yeah. I thought maybe the video was sucking up too much bandwidth. I liked it. Definitely the questions I have, I don't think that they're bad. I still really enjoyed this, and it was a great way to get into the Allred's body of work. And I think Kirby's ideas are actually really good, where instead of saying this could be more and having it be a critique, like it could be more, but maybe that's a positive. And from what you have told me about Allred's work, he likes to build like the Allred verse, like the Allred MCU, where okay, this story for this specific book is done because maybe it's really the story of the robot and I'm just looking at it from the wrong perspective, or a character who is not the central focus. But then those other questions can maybe come up in some later work, and I like that. It's a creative style that I can learn to get behind. Like if we do the MCU of the Allreds, that would be cool. But still a wonderfully colored book, a lot of fun, and they address some pretty important ideas about life in a way that's meaningful and feels like it fits the story. So yeah, good book. Glad we read it. I would not have read it on my own if you had not told us about it and been in it. So thank you for doing that.
Cool.
And we got to remember one thing with the laboratory too. They didn't do like in a lot of things where when you destroy it and fix it, they mind warp you and wipe your mind. Right. They all know what will go happen and stuff. So.
That's true. I also like how Max did get back with his family, and seeing the other versions, he loves and appreciates them even more, and seems like he's going to make he was already a really good family man, but he's going to make even a better effort to continue that. And I like that. I like seeing healthy family relationships in comic books and healthy, honest, faithful relationships in comic books. That was cool.
Cool. Jim, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, this was a very fun story. The problems I had with it were, like David said, they never really explained where that thing came from or what it really meant or anything. And overall, I thought just everything was a little rushed. The scenes were a little too short. It could have been better with maybe like 2 more issues. Yeah. And we also suffered because we had issue number 1 so far in front of the rest. I always feel like I don't remember what happened in issue number 1. I gotta catch up, and I don't remember where the scenes fit together. Like between the different. He's got this family and this one, his family and this one and this family. And I was kind of always felt a little lost with that. If there was anything going on forward, I would like to see just the adventures of the Max robot version. Where he's, this guy.
Yeah.
And that would be something, I think would be interesting. Not, the whole scientist in the lab kind of thing, but where he's like traveling dimensions, that would be more interesting than the science story. Maybe look at the nihilist character again, flesh that one
That's
out.
actually a really good idea. I would definitely buy that book if they made it about the robot's adventures. That would be cool. Nice idea.
And that's a title right there. Robot Adventures.
Maybe
X-ray robot.
Excellent. I'm subscribing to the series. Yep, I'm down. $4.99. Let's go. I'm in.
Yeah, I guess I'd probably be on board either way. I'd follow continuing adventures of the robot. At the same time, I would follow continuing adventures of these other characters, as maybe they're doing some of the things with these other inventions and other things that they were working on in this lab that will continue. I have a feeling one of the scientists is now going to strive to be, somebody worthy of a statue and whatever, because he did like that so much. So it'd be interesting to see where the people go and develop from here as well. So I would really follow along with either type of story.
Cool. Any other closing thoughts before we close this out?
The head of the facility too, he's still a jackass, and he could screw anything up. So
Mr. Reynolds.
Yep. who I still think was the nihilist at one point.
All right. Well, that will do it. That will close the book on X-Ray Robot. If you missed out on any of these issues, there is a trade paperback that I think is currently scheduled for January. That could be, off a month or two, depending on the COVID release and all that. But I think it's slated for January. And then once again, starting next year, they will have the Madmaniverse library edition. So if you ever want to jump into the Madman comics and didn't know where to start, it's all going to be collected in hardcover library editions that are all going to look nice and fancy on Damon's shelf.
And Anthony, you did make it in episode 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's me. He did say that he was going to draw me in everything, and I didn't know he was going to draw me in an advertisement for something else. So Good. Well, that will do it for X-Ray Robot number 4 and the series as a whole. And we'll move on to the next segment. All right. Good talk, everybody.
Same order?
Same order.
Okay.
I'll call out to you, too, once we do it. So.
I have to run upstairs, so I just don't want to be gone too long.
Nope, Jim, you're talking first for a half hour.
Okay.
Just kidding.
And that was all I have to say about that.
Okay, we are recording. All right. Welcome to the weekly review section. We're going to go all the way around the internet and talk about the books that we've been reading, both new and old. This one I was very excited to get. This will be my non-spoiler review. All the other reviews may contain spoilers, but this one in particular, this is Firefly, Watch How I Soar, an original graphic novel from Boom. All right. Let's see here. We visit Wash, who is the pilot of Serenity, and he is revisiting the most important, never-before-revealed moments in his life, from growing up on a planet ravaged by pollution that no star could shine in the sky, to meeting the woman of his dreams in Zoe, who would become his wife and help him create a life beyond his wildest imagination. That'll be all this. There's a bunch of stuff on there, but I'll just leave it at that. Firefly and Serenity. If you haven't seen it, this is a book about the pilot of the ship named Serenity from the television show Firefly, then movie Serenity. Actor Alan Tudyk is the character that is the actor that played the character of Wash. And rather than being one consecutive graphic novel, this is dipping in and out with many different creative teams, basically looking at different moments in Wash's life. I was going to grab the credits here when I find it, but this is it's very interesting because you see some stuff with kind of like current timeline, like him and his wife. You see him as a kid with his father, which I really liked. It is a whole thing where it deals with him and his father, who is also Hoban Washburn, as we know that the Wash that we know is actually a junior. They're kind of stranded and they're landing this planet. They have to fix their ship. And in the meantime, young Wash goes and kind of explores, and he comes across this little amusement thing called Dino World. And if you know anything about Wash, he has a row of dinosaurs, plastic dinosaur toys that are on the dashboard of Serenity. And there's a little scene in there where he's kind of playing with them and everything. And this is basically the origin of where his fascination for dinosaurs came from. So there's a whole story about that I really like. There's one that Wash is working, basically has dreams of becoming a pilot, and he's just kind of working on the ground level. It looks like he's working in like mechanics and working on ships like that. But there is a moment in there in which he basically has the opportunity to step up and kind of impress some people with his flying skills. There is a really touching story here where if you've read the other you wouldn't know this from the movies, the movie or the TV show, but if you've read the other comics, you will know of another character that comes into the life of Zoe and Wash, and you get to see something from that perspective, which was a whole like it was a really touching scenario that I was very surprised with. I wasn't sure with this Boom doing these comics, and if if the ones at Dark Horse existed or how they all what is canon, so to speak. We had a discussion about that a couple weeks back, and I'm always in the idea. I think somebody had said this too, where I'm like, if it exists, if I read it, it's canon. It's there. And there is a fun story here that is kind of dealing with some of those moments. Once again, not spoiling anything from other Firefly comics, which those are available. I believe they're called the Legacy editions. They've come out. Eric, can you confirm? Did you pick up some of those, or you got them for a friend?
I did get the first 2 Legacy collections. I don't know if there's a third one.
Yeah, because they would have had a couple sets of the comics when the movie was still kind of coming out, and then they did Leaves on the Wind, which might have been its own, and then they did a follow-up to that as well. But yeah, anyways, there's a couple there from Boom kind of reprinting those comics if you want to get your hands on them. But this was really fun, really cool, and I like the idea that it did jump in and out with different writers and art styles, by the way. I thought there was an individual one, so I'll just name all the names in the opening here. Jeff Jansen, Ethan Young, Jorge Corona, Jared Cullum, Giannis Amelia Giannis, Jorge Monlongo, and Jordi Perez. And now here it is. So yeah, all of those people did all these different stories, and it's cool to kind of just see how the common thread of the character of Wash, but ultimately it's just kind of basically a Wash anthology with an overall narrative. So that is all I will say about that, to not dip into spoilers if anybody has yet to jump into the comics and maybe even the movies and the show. So.
One question.
Yes.
How much does it cost?
Great question. That one I will spoil for you. So here we go. Spoilers.
Thank you.
If somebody wanted to buy this blindly and just didn't want to look at their bank statement or anything like that, just hit mute, walk away, take your earbuds out. I'm going to spoil the price here. In Canada, I'll start with Canada. It is $25.99. In the UK, it is $14.99, but in the United States, it is $19.99. So it is a nice.
Wow, for a hardcover?
Yep, it's
nice.
A nice cover. It's
instant buy. That's amazing.
As you can see, it's not like it's something really long, but it's a rather quick read. But I think there's a lot of good stories here. I think it's comparable to The Shepherd's Tale. If anybody,
okay, fantastic, so good.
In lengthwise and story wise, I think that would explain it. So there we go.
Yeah, it seems like it could be comparable also to The Sting, which was the Firefly one that had all the women of Serenity and Saffron on a mission, all done by different illustrators.
Yep, yeah. They like to do those original graphic novels here and there, so that would be a good comparison as well. So that is Firefly, Watch How I Soar. Okay, we will cut over to Damon for our next review.
The only thing I had a chance to read this week was book 4 in the Alien original screenplay series. This is the second to last book, and we finally get to see the alien. I've been kind of pointing out a lot of the differences between this and the actual movie. One of the first things to point out is there's several more people on the Nostromo in this book than there is in the movie. This pretty much starts where the last one left off, where they're looking for the alien. They're going through all the compartments. They think it's the small. They don't realize how big it is. And they pretty much come up with the same idea that they believe it's trapped in one of the ventilation shafts, and they're going to push it with a flamethrower towards the airlock and blast it out into space. The key differences here is like in the movie, you had Dallas, which was played by Tom Skerritt, and he's the one in the ventilation shaft with the flamethrower. And unfortunately, he makes his demise. In here, it does not. It's kind of a different setup. They believe they're chasing, a little tiny thing, and the shaft only has an entrance and an exit. So one guy draws straws, basically. He's the unlucky soul that has to go into the ventilation shaft, but he doesn't die. That's where some of the big changes are. They're on the other end, have a net in place to catch this little tiny thing, and instead he pushes the alien towards the exit, and out comes the big baddie. And it's quite different when you see him. The first time you see him, he immediately cuts the head off of someone. And in this version, the original version, that, I don't know how well it comes across, is what the alien looks like. So again, this is way before H.R. Geiger or Giger, however you want. I'm bad pronouncing names. Before he came on and totally redesigned everything in his own image. Here you can see the person who, just a little off the top, please. And then the alien grabs his body and takes it off. That's the other difference too, is it appears that this alien, this version, is using it for food, because here you can see him slurping down, what's left of the entrails of one of his souls. It's definitely a lot bloodier. Like, this guy gets caught in an airlock, and when the doors close, and ouch. And I like the little extra detail in this one panel right here. You can kind of see his eye bulging out. It's pretty cool.
Sell in the 70s.
Yeah, right. They come up with a slightly different idea. Instead of blowing up the ship and escaping with the lifeboat, which is what happens in the movie, they have the idea of loading the lifeboat up with explosives and trying to push this alien into the lifeboat, send it off, and blow it up. Don't know how well that's going to work, but they now know what they're facing. They have this plan. The next issue will be the final issue. And as always, they give us a little tease of what the cover is going to be. So that will be the cover of issue 5. And it'll be neat to see how they end it. Issue 5, I think, was supposed to come out this week. I didn't get it for whatever reason. I think it might have got delayed, because I know the hardcover for all 5 issues was also supposed to come out this week, and that got pushed to the end of the month. So I think it'll be coming out soon. If you're a big fan of the movie and want to see what it originally was going to be, I recommend picking them up. I can say, since I pretty much have finished this series, there's only one more book left. Definitely like the movie better. I can see why they kind of scrapped this idea. I mean, there's a lot I didn't talk about in the reviews of all 4 of these issues, but I can see why they kind of went with what they did and scrapped some of the stuff and changed some of the things that's in this comic book run. But it's still cool to see what it was originally written to be. I'm really looking forward to, if it ever comes out, The Predator. They're doing the original screenplay for the first Predator movie. That was supposed to come out right when COVID hit, and it's been pushed and pushed and pushed, and I'm not even sure what the new date is for issue 1.
Is that going to be where he's like a giant crayfish with Van Damme inside?
No, not the first version of the movie, but it's really cool. If you look at the image online, the first issue right off the bat shows you what the Predator looks like. It's really cool. It's like green foliage, and right in the center of the issue is his head. And so they don't pull any punches. They show you right off the bat on the cover what he's supposed to look like. So I'm looking forward to that. I really like these adaptations of original screenplays of movies before they were made into the movies. And if you're a big fan of Alien, I recommend picking it up. Probably at this point, wait the end of the month and pick up the hardcover, on Amazon or in stock trades for $15 or whatever it's going to be, and go that route. But it's fun. Yep, there you go. Thank you.
It kind of reminded me of a gremlin.
Yeah.
Can I see that again?
Man, He really does look like a gremlin. Deagle, deagle, deagle.
Yum yum. But anyways, it should. I'm looking forward to that one. That's the next one. There's been, I think, that will be the third one. The first one was Alien 3. This version is I think the second screenplay in this 20th Century Fox series, and Predator will be the third one when it comes out. They're all fun.
Yeah, when you said gremlin, I was looking around because I know Gizmo's around here somewhere, but he must have got up and left on his own. So, all right. We will jump over to the man wearing the symbol of hope on his chest. Oh wait, the one named David who is wearing the symbol of hope on his chest.
Oh yeah, right. Well, for anyone not aware, I am a huge Punisher. Oh wait, no, that's Eric. Superman fan, and so somebody just dropped off a little present for me yesterday, and I went through and I looked it over and everything, and I thought I'd bring that in today. It could have served as a show and tell, but with a lot of things that I've had going on that Anthony's aware of, I haven't gotten the reading done, so he actually came across this and decided it would have a good home with me. So I kind of paged through here, and this is from the original Superman movie from, what was that, 78. I think the date on this is actually 79. But this is kind of a good, somewhat behind the scenes, but it's also, it takes you through some of the cast and discusses some of their involvement. It compares some of the scenes, talks about things like, it gives you the description of Krypton and how they put that together. A lot of art from the film in here. It gives a lot of comparisons in comic books. Like here you see where they're sending criminals to the Phantom Zone, and here you see the first instance of that happening in comic books. It talks about how many different times Superman's origin has been put into the comics and how they took from that for the movie. And it kind of just goes through the whole movie and kind of compares some of that stuff. You get not just comics, but also like newspaper strips and some of the things that happen in there. Because a lot of times people don't realize, Batman, I think Spider-Man's had a few where some of their firsts actually were in the newspaper strips, not actually the comics. You've also had things where their firsts were in radio serials and things like that were then later brought in. Much like how Batman the Animated Series is where they introduced Harley Quinn, and then it carried over to the comics. So there's been a lot of that throughout the history of comics and related media. So this kind of talks a little bit of that, some of the other things. I don't know how many of us were around and old enough to have entered into the Great Superman Movie Contest. I don't know if some of us would have wanted to, because it involved clipping letters out of your Superman comic books, which I would have had a hard time doing. I know that Kurt would have had a hard time cutting up comic books to do this. But it does have the winners of that contest, and they had to take the letters and spell out. They had to take the letters and spell out a few words. Superman. It actually says in here what they were. Superman, Kal-El, and Clark had to be spelled out using letters clipped out from Superman comic books.
So it's like a random letter?
Yeah, pretty much. And so it talks about the winners that were these two boys here, which both were put into the movie as members of the football team in Smallville that Clark was in his high school football team. So the winners actually got to be part of the football team.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it continues to carry, and goes through talking about his arrival on Earth and everything else. It just really takes you through a lot of the movie, although it really seems to focus a lot on the origins and those comparisons more than the rest of the plot of the Superman story. You get some great breakdowns of the Fortress of Solitude. If you ever wondered where, how that's laid out and mapped out. Now, granted, this is a version from the 70s. There have been a few other versions since then, so this might not be accurate to current Fortress of Solitude as we would know today. Talks about the other characters, the people of the Daily Planet, and goes through just all these characters. It talks about not just the characters, but also the actors and the actresses that played all of these characters. You get Superman's first meeting with Lois Lane in the movie compared to Superman's first meeting with Lois Lane in the comics. That's the first time he actually met and sat down with her, not first time she saw him or whatever, which was different for both.
I like Pink very much, Lois.
What's that?
I like Pink very much, Lois.
Yes, which I don't think was from the comics or news strips or anywhere else. It just goes on again. Great, nice, full size pictures. From the movie. Just full of these. You get comparisons, the characters, what they look like in the comics compared to the live movie version of the characters. So for fans of Superman, whether it's the movies or otherwise, this is just really a cool thing to have. Here we got the Superman centerfold here.
Ooh la la!
Yeah.
Imagine the audio.
I don't know. Can I show that on here?
Audio listeners, they got a whole different image going on now.
Yeah, this isn't under the cowl. Just the whole thing. Lex Luthor. It goes through shots of some of the scenes and comparing them. You got some of the storyboards actually where they went with Superman saving a train, but in here it talks about how he was going to save a bus. So just some really great things on here, and then you go through and it really gets into depth about the actors, the actresses, gives some backgrounds. Basically, this is before we had Wikipedia or Internet Movie Database where we could just look them up. We had this. So that information you couldn't just come across by a couple of clicks on the internet. In 1979, this probably would have been really great for looking this up. If you want to see some of the concept designs, they have a few of those in here as well. Flip to talks about the costume designer and the composer. Here's some costume concept design art. So thank you, Anthony. This is a really great thing to have as part of my Superman collection. So I rather enjoyed it and very happy to be able to include that now as the latest part of my Superman collection.
Cool. I was going to say it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow, but you had said this came out a year after the movie, so in 1979, which would also mean that the Superman holiday special was right around the corner, in which their version of Life Day on Krypton, very, very depressing.
Now, I don't know how popular this thing was, but this is actually volume 8 of this. So in 1979, within a year of the movie coming out, I'm pretty sure it was 78. That's when the date is on the copyright and stuff things where it talks about the movie itself in here. But this came out 79. It does have other dates. It gives a lot of copyright dates because it talks about 1938 and all these different copyrights for the materials used in here. But this does, the official title of this was All New Collector's Edition, and then in parentheses, Superman the Movie. Volume 8, and it gives a number. So I don't know if maybe this is Volume 8 of All New Collector's Edition. Maybe that was an ongoing thing. I'd have to look at it. Maybe this particular one was just Superman the Movie. So I'm not absolutely clear. It seems odd that it would be Volume 8 of this particular magazine in just a year. Maybe they just did it in very small runs, and if there was demand, they'd do another small run, and that would be another volume. I'm not sure. I will say it had a cover price of $2.50, which in that time, this seems like that was kind of a pricey little magazine.
Like a $15 book right there.
So granted, it's a nice size. It's got some great photos in here. So it might have been worth it even then. I know I'd pay $2.50 for it now easily. So yeah, it's pretty cool find.
Cool. All right, we will jump over to Kirby for the next one.
All right, someone else reviewed this recently, but I had my copy here and forgot about it, and figured I better check it out because they weren't too thrilled with it when they reviewed it, from what I remember. But I checked out Dynamite issue 1. Vampirella hurtles through space on a Draculan ship, desperate to uncover a dark mystery. 100-year-old John Carter of Mars grasps for an awful memory just out of reach. Peter Cannon, Thunderbolt, battles waves of evil he does not understand. Red Sonja is faced with an impossible choice. Dynamite is an event series that unites all of the hit Dynamite characters as you've never seen them before. They will come together to battle the biggest threat they have ever faced. Many are even missing faces, which kind of curious about that. I know there's some beheadings and stuff like that. And I know some of the covers have zombified, eaten up faces and stuff like that, which I'm guessing we'll learn more about in the future. But I'm a fan of some of the Dynamite characters, but I didn't know characters like John Carter and stuff were part of that realm. So it's nice to see them thrown in there. And this one doesn't have, other than Vampirella, and the surprise at the end doesn't have many of my favorite characters in here. I'm not a big fan of Red Sonja and stuff like that. I'm just not into the barbarian aspects and stuff anymore. But I am definitely excited to see what happens more in the zombie, what they do with the zombie character take, like DCeased did and Marvel Zombies did. And it's like every franchise has to get their little click on it. But yeah, I liked it and expect this. I'm looking forward to number 2 and who's going to appear in it. So I'm guessing we're going to see another lady from the realm and another evil character. But yeah, I was happy with it. Anthony, you're muted.
I was eating peanuts, so I had to now unmute myself. Okay. Now, when I think about what we're about to talk about, we've heard so much about, history of the DC universe. So much of it, we're just like, we're done with it. I want to hear about other history of the DC universe. Jim?
Okay. This has been talked about for quite a while, and it finally came out. It's a couple weeks ago now. I just got my copy this week, and it is called The Other History of the DC Universe. And this is written by John Ridley, the screenwriter, comic book writer as well. He is probably most well known for these days for being 12 Years a Slave. He wrote this book, and right now this one focuses on the character Black Lightning. And I assume most of you know that Black Lightning was the first black character to get his own comic book. And he deals with how Black Lightning fit into the DC universe from Black Lightning's point of view. And it takes a different take on some of the events that happened during his career. And it also reflects John Ridley's view on how the comic book industry dealt with race in those days. And this book is very interesting in that it is very text heavy. There is no word bubbles. It's all the Black Lightning character doing his reminiscence, and it is all long back speeches, You see very little, but it goes from his origins as a kid growing up in suicide slum to his dream of being a superhero, which at that time would have been beating the world record in the decathlon, which he eventually went on to do. And then after that, he starts developing powers, and it shows the origin of the superhero age, which in this version would have been a little bit later in the Silver Age, maybe even to the Bronze Age. I'm not sure where they start. But in 1972, that's when this age of superheroes started for them. That's when Superman was coming out, Batman was coming out. That's when Black Lightning got his powers and all that. So it's real interesting in that way. He also talks about some of the other Black and other races characters that come about. Vixen, who was an African woman. Victor Stone, who was Teen Titan, Cyborg. John Stewart, John Stewart was a character before Black Lightning, but he did not have his own book. So, it talks about how John Stewart he kind of thought of him as a sellout because he took a subordinate role and let Hal Jordan be the lead, that way. But it was very interesting. And for us here in Wisconsin, there's a very interesting scene that takes place here at the Pig and Whistle, which was a Milwaukee restaurant for a long time. And John also he writes about reading the green sheet while it was drawn as the green leaf. But for us, I don't know, maybe you guys remember the green sheet in the Milwaukee Journal for a long time was the funny pages in the local, character. So that he has the character move from Suicide Slum, which is like the bad area of Metropolis, to Milwaukee, which is where he met his future wife. And so that was an interesting side note. And if you don't know, John Ridley, the writer, is from Milwaukee. So there's a nice side bit there. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think he's going to go into other characters from here and not stick with the Black Lightning character, because it pretty much covered most of his career already. So I'm thinking he's going to take some of the other minority characters in DC and go with them for issue 2. But I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. Is that he will transition and he'll do other issues focusing on other characters in a similar fashion to how he did this issue.
And this is a Black Label book, and it is in the prestige format, so it is oversized. So I was not aware of that. I knew it was Black Label. I did not quite realize it was a prestige book. So.
Okay. Cool. All right. Now we switch over to the topical comic book reviews segment with Eric.
Yep. The topical's right. This is a book that actually came out in November called The Recount, put out by Scout Comics. It's a pretty interesting premise. Essentially, it starts out where the president is assassinated while he is resigning after being found guilty of war crimes. Vice president then tries to, go on the air to try to, tell everybody everything's okay. But during her transmission, it gets hijacked, and you see a guy in a clown face, kind of like the Purge, basically stating that, yeah, this is a bad guy. We've infiltrated everyone. We're going after his cabinet. We're going after the new president, and we're going after everyone who voted for him. And they basically go on to say that, yeah, we know who you voted for, mostly because of, the way everybody posts on social media. There's, they wear their hats saying, yeah, I voted for Christensen. And so basically, you get this great setup, and you know that bad stuff is about to happen nationwide because now everyone's going to be paranoid. And I think it's definitely a commentary on how we've allowed politics to try to, define us as people, and how we let ourselves define other people through politics. Because now all of a sudden, hey, one person voted for that guy. Oh, you're a party to their crimes. But yeah, it's a little bloody, and definitely sets up a great big conspiracy, and you don't really know who's doing it, except that they, wear a lot of clown masks. So I don't know if this is a bi-monthly release, but I couldn't order the second one till this month's previews, and this was something that came out in November. So I don't know. I hope they speed it up because, like I said, this issue is pretty much just the setup. And I'm looking forward to see where it goes. But yeah, I can also see why they rushed to release it in November, because it's the recount, and I don't know if we still have recounts going on. If the current
recounting, I've been recounting all the issues of X-Ray Robot #3 I bought because I'm missing one somewhere.
I'm just happy I voted for Gloyd.
For who?
Gloyd.
Okay. I'd vote for you, man. But yeah, like I said, looking to see where this goes. But yeah, this is one that definitely I think stood out in my pull list for last week. So
Cool. All right. We all know the age-old story from Fantastic Four, number 48 through 50, the Galactus trilogy, and when the Fantastic Four had fought Galactus. But what if? Now, hang with me here. What if the Avengers had fought Galactus? In What If, issue number 41, this is a giant-size special. The What Ifs are basically a kind of anthology comic, kind of jumping in, taking concepts that we know in the proper 616 Marvel Universe, but then adding a little different spin to it. So this issue focuses on kind of retelling the Galactus trilogy, which is one of my favorite stories, which introduced Galactus as well as the Silver Surfer. So you see a lot of the similar themes going on here, except that it's the Avengers that are reacting to everything. They're kind of showing how in this alternate universe of this story, how these characters came to be if the Fantastic Four basically had never existed. So we see what happens there. We jump in to kind of see how Dr. Doom would still come to be Dr. Doom, even though there is no Fantastic Four. There's some interesting things here of basically explaining why Captain America would never have been found in the ice. So this is actually focusing on an Avengers team where Captain America doesn't eventually join in issue number 4. But we see a lot of the same doom and gloom in the sky as the Watcher is once again the Watcher who they're always talking about that they're not supposed to interfere, but even in the What If story, they continue to interfere. That would be an amazing What If. I wonder if they've ever done it. Is what if the Watchers actually just stood up to their normal oath and never actually interfered in anything? So what I was really interested in this was seeing Surfer's role in the whole thing. In the original story, Silver Surfer, who is going around planet to planet looking for something for his master Galactus to feed upon, to gain energy, and ultimately destroy that planet. And Silver Surfer eventually has a fight with the Fantastic Four and crash lands into the studio apartment of Alicia Masters. And in that original story, Surfer learns the humans of Earth and what kind of beings they are through Alicia. And that's what ultimately turns him to realize he should help the Fantastic Four and turn against his master, Galactus. So that was the one thing I was very excited to see how that would be portrayed in here. For anyone that has yet to read it, I'm not going to dive deep into that. But it's really interesting seeing ultimately a battle of the Silver Surfer and tons of the Avengers, because the current Avengers team, who has gone through several, a couple different team shakeups where Iron Man's not in the team anymore, but we've seen Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and Hawkeye and everybody join the team. They basically send out the signal of Avengers assemble. Basically anybody who was ever an Avenger. This was in the early years, so that's not like 300 people like it would be today. There's at least a dozen or 15 or so. So it's cool seeing some of these characters show up and the kind of battles they have with the Silver Surfer and what ultimately leads to him, how he would play a role in the outcome of this story. So yeah, this is very fun. If you've read the Galactus trilogy, issues 48 through 50 of the original Fantastic Four run, this was a cool What If story. And and then it has a couple backup stories. I'm not sure if this was exclusive to the giant size version or if some of the other ones had it too, but there is a 2-page story of what if the Fantastic Four were led by Keith Richards instead of Reed Richards. That's a story I had no idea was going to be following up. There's nothing about that on the cover. I was very surprised. So I don't want to spoil that 2-page story. That's worth it for the $1.75 alone back in 1992, I think this was. Yep. And then there's a 1-page, what if Wolverine was the worst there is at what he does? So yeah, there is a very fun issue. I like the what ifs in this one in particular because it just told an alternate version of one of my favorite stories. So that is What If issue number 41. All right. Then our next title is going to jump over to our Tank Girl aficionado, Kirby.
Yes, I got King Tank Girl #1, which I was very excited about because they're going back to the early days of Tank Girl with all new stories. And this one was great with, it's got a variety of different stories throughout it. A lot of characters throughout the different stories, some of which I've never seen before. First story in here is King Tank Girl Part 1, Rangers of the Universe. And all these stories don't finish in here, so they'll go on to the next one and on, and so on, which is kind of nice, kind of annoying, but I'd like to have them finish. But in here, she's got her collection of action figures that she's been collecting over the years, and she's missing that one rare action figure that basically is a version of the Boba Fett with the shooting missile thing, where this one, the head shoots off it and got lodged in the children's throats. They destroyed all of them except for 8 possible characters, and Booga sits there, mentions that he used to have one in his childhood, and he just basically buried it outside his house. So they take a trip back to England to find this item, see what they can come up with, if it's still there or if something's been built over the top of it or whatever. And Tank Girl just happens to do something that gets her the realm of being king of England for a while. Well, and she spends her time dealing with that while she sends the rest of the crew off to find the action figure for her. And on the next story, you get to meet some more characters with the Kook Patrol. You get to meet a lot of the surfing characters. If you don't know anything about Tank Girl was originally done by two people from Australia. So it always goes back to a lot of Australian aspects and stuff. And they like to get into the surfing stories. And this one was fun where they basically go and just the whole gang just gets in. They're chased by someone on a beach, and they end up hooking up with a lot of the old surfers, and a little tiki thing that gives you 3 wishes just happens to come into the story, and Booga wins it in a poker game against Jet Girl, and of course makes a couple wishes that he shouldn't have done when he had the thing on, and you gotta learn more about her through that. And I don't want to ruin that part of the story for you either, but yeah, it's nice that they break up the stories and that they're going to be ongoing throughout the whole series. I think this is going to be a short series of probably 4 to 6 comics, but I can't remember for sure. But yeah, they're coming up with a lot of new characters. New comics lately. Like I've been interested in this blood trauma one that's coming out. You got this hillbilly one with treacherous treason of the 12-toe Maggie. And I don't know if anybody's heard about Illa Diablo, and that looked like an interesting Mexican demon style character. And then Lords of Misery, of course, they have the goon style characters, if you know, from the old gangster comics. But yeah, this is done by Albatross Funny Books, and yeah, they're coming out with a nice little line of character comics. So, and of course, you get your little bonuses like David had. I get my little poster too.
Nice.
Mine's got a double side, but I'm not going to rip it out to show you that.
Rip it out. Rip it out.
But yeah, I'm very happy with the new Tank Girl run. So.
Yeah,
Cool.
if you cut out the letters, you can mail them in, and maybe you could win a part in a movie.
I just got to fly to the other side of the world.
Good. All right, let's jump over to Eric for his next review.
Next one by IDW, Sea of Sorrows. Tells an interesting story set up pre-World War II, post-World War I, where there's a boat of, basically a boat of seamen looking for some German gold. So it's in, I guess this was some German U-boat that that wasn't reported lost, and they found gold. Of course, this has a bunch of people who don't trust each other. I mean, if you've ever seen Treasure of the Sierra Madre, you get gold fever. But while the guy is down there, and I need to cover something up real quick. He finds this, but writes it off to, something wrong with his oxygen equipment.
He figured it was just a manatee.
Could be. Who knows? That'd be a really weird manatee. Though with what I had to cover up, it'd be more like a womanatee.
Thank you, Eric.
I'm working on my dad jokes, my poor son. But you also find out that there was actually a member of the crew who was on the German side during the war. and he talks about how he heard weird things and actually also ended up seeing the mermaid. So it looks like right now there could be two stories going on. The one in the present, where, you know, this crew has to try to get the gold off of this submarine, and the other one, which is, you know, what this crew member ended up doing in the past when they encountered a mermaid. And one thing I think is interesting about the art, I mean, it's not just for the cover, but, you know, whenever you see a drawing or a painting of something that's going on in the ocean, what color do they make the water? Blue. But in this case, whenever they're down below, the water is black, which I think it definitely sets a different tone, because instead of, you know, just the pretty ocean, the sea is now dark, and, you know, it's basically a shadow which is hiding a lot of stuff that we don't know what is in it, which I think, you know, definitely puts you know, a good spin on it, because it's like, what's that saying? You don't have to be afraid of the dark, it's what's in it. So I don't know, I think this is a 3-issue series. This is the same creative team, I think, that did the story I reviewed a while ago called River of Blood, which dealt with the Soviets escaping a gulag. So, but yeah, another new story. Can't wait to see where this one goes.
Cool. All right. The last review here is something I picked up at a brand new comic shop. It is called Garage Day Comics. Kirby, do you want to give a little plug for what that is first?
Basically a COVID-free environment, hopefully, in a garage where you can come and do your comic shopping by yourself or with another adult, and it's just got a variety of a little bit of everything: comics, action figures, sports memorabilia, whatever I can come across and get out there before you show up. But yeah, everybody's welcome by appointment, and get in there before it gets too cold, but I hopefully have a bigger heater coming in the future.
Yeah, I had done the beta test of the shopping the other day, and I can confirm that it is very COVID friendly. Not, you know, there was a long pause after you said COVID, which was a little, you know, unsettling at first. But
well, it did start out. The initial name was going to be the COVID Comic Shop, and I'm like, no, that's not good. Well, I should go COVID friendly. Well, that's not good.
because then it sounds very welcoming to COVID.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and it's like Garage Days. If I started out like this and it possibly becomes an actual storefront down in the future, it's a memory back to Garage Days, and I can keep that name. So that's why I went with that. So
At least provided Metallica doesn't sue you for copyright.
yeah, that's fine. I'll fight Lars.
But yeah, I can attest that you know, all the precautions were in place, and it was a very great experience, and he's got many options to accommodate for that, so it's a safe shopping experience. So I picked up some things. I was very excited when I seen this, because one of my favorite writers, Dan Slott, actually kind of cut his teeth early in the Marvel days on the Ren and Stimpy show comic books, which I do have several issues of that, but there are definitely some I needed yet, and I came across this one. On the top, it says, "Because no one demanded it." This is the Ren and Stimpy show, issue number 6, in which we see the amazing Spider-Man against Powdered Toast Man. That is right. The crossover that nobody asked for, Spider-Man and Powdered Toast Man inside of a Ren and Stimpy comic book. The start of this comic opens up with the classic intro to all the Powdered Toast Man cartoons and specials, with Ren and Stimpy sitting there and all out of powdered toast. So then they make a quick emergency call to Powdered Toast Man, and he shows up. Wait a minute, he didn't show up. Spider-Man showed up. normally Powder Toast Man shows up, but Spider-Man shows up, and he is the one to say that Powder Toast Man is basically being mind washed right now by somebody. So Spider-Man is filling in for him and doing the job of helping out people during the breakfast time with their toast. And much like Powder Toast Man, whenever he would get a distress call, they'd always be in his Elastigirts. So the same thing happens to Spider-Man here. As you see, some activity, a very big distress call going on in the nether regions of Spider-Man there. So that's something that would happen to Powder Toast Man in the cartoons. But we find out that Powder Toast Man is being brainwashed by the evil Dr. Donut. Dr. Donut is the, I was just going to get an image of him here. Dr. Donut is basically, oh yeah, we do get a message from the mayor, and this one's for Eric. But Dr. Donut, he is a serial offender. So yeah, Dr. Donut is here, and it's a whole story about Spider-Man basically fighting Powder Toast Man, and as he's under the spell, and we see Powder Toast Man's classic crouton move, which he's able to shoot out of his armpit. So once he works the armpit there, he can shoot croutons to hit up Spider-Man. He also has his raisin punch, the raisin breath that he shoots out of his mouth. So we see all of the classics here. One thing, I don't know if we see it in all the Powder Toast Man cartoons, if you're familiar with him, or if you're not familiar with him, he usually, when he's in flight, almost very similar to a Superman type, and arms are out and just flying through the air, except he's always doing it backwards. So you just see him flying, facing the wrong direction, but going the way, a forward direction, but facing backwards. That one I don't think we see in here, but this is very fun, very cool, and to see that Dan Slott was the writer of this way back when, and little did Dan Slott know that he would do a very epic 10-plus year run on Amazing Spider-Man and become known as one of the best and longest Spider-Man writers of all time. But yep, I love Powder Toast Man. I love Spider-Man, two of my favorite characters in an issue together. I would dare say this is a Garage Day Comics exclusive because that's where I got it. So there we go.
Was that actually Dan Slott's first Spider-Man story?
Oh, that is, you know what? That would be a great question because I don't know where else he would have thrown him in there unless he found a different issue of Ren and Stimpy. But I would imagine if he did it, it would have started here. So he replies to me a lot online, so I will have to send him a message and get back to you. Maybe I'll get it live on the show here. All right. So yeah, that is the Ren and Stimpy show, issue number 6. Excellent. That will do it for the weekly reviews. Let's move on to the news. All right, we'll do the Marvel and DC previews for February, starting with Marvel, and then we will have the show and tell segment to wrap up the show. So if you had anything for that, right, I'll check with you right before we start. That way I know who's all participating.
Oh, I have something.
I'm going to jump out now because I got some other stuff going on tonight. So I will see you all later.
All right. Good seeing you. Take it
Bye,
easy.
Jim.
I always love the mysterious other stuff.
And he leaves.
I don't want to talk about it.
But I got to bounce too. So I will see you all next week, hopefully.
Bye, Damon.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
Let me know, Damon, when you want to swing out.
Jim's got other stuff. Damon's got a bounce.
Yeah. I'll Facebook you, Kirby, probably one night this week.
Yep, no problem.
All right, have a good weekend, everyone.
I have to.
We'll see ya.
Now, if he was smart, he would have waited about 3 minutes in to be like, hey, I got to go now too, to make it less, conspicuous. So, okay.
And there goes Eric.
Okay. We are recording audio, turbines to speed. Here we go. Welcome to the news segment. We are going to do part 1 of 2 of our previews preview. And it's for the Marvel and DC picks from the previous catalog for products coming out in February 2021 and beyond. These are our recommendations. We're not going to go through the entire catalog. We're just talking about the ones that we are excited for. First one on my list here is another round of Marvel's Voices. This is a legacy one-shot. This here is celebrating Black History Month in mighty Marvel style. Black Panther, Storm, Blade, Falcon, Ironheart, Luke Cage, Spectrum, and so many more. Marvel's incredible legacy of Black heroes gets their star treatment in this action-packed special. New and established creators take on their favorite heroes in a dizzying array of stories designed to inspire and uplift. The Marvel's Voices program is your #1 stop for the world outside your window. Don't sleep on this one. Yeah, awesome cover art. Looks like we've got Ho Chi Anderson and Sean Hill credited, at least for the on the initial part. But yep, bunch of probably short stories. I see Miss Marvel's on the cover on there as well, and Miles Morales and a bunch of other cool stuff. So yep, that is Marvel's Voices Legacy One Shot. Check it out. David, do you recommend everything in the catalog?
I recommend everything at least once.
Cool. Jump over to Kirby.
I'm gonna pick up Morbius Bond of Blood one shot. Morbius, the living vampire, faces a ghost from his past. His first kill. Emil Nikos was Morbius's research partner until the bloodlust made Emil the first victim to Morbius's vampiric urges. Now Emil's son is dying from a new rare blood disease, and only Morbius can save him. But at what cost? So Morbius, while messing with his own blood disease, is going to be working on someone else's. So we might have a future new character down the road. But yeah, I got to check this out. I'm really enjoying the new Morbius run. So
Cool. Katie, anything from you?
Yeah, so from Marvel, there's another Star Wars Epic Collection coming out I'm super excited for. It is New Republic Volume 5. This is covering the Dark Empire stories. And I am excited to own this because I had previously read this from the library. So this will be the first time I get to have it in my collection. And it is $40. Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, New Republic Volume 5. And unless we do any Marvel Club picks, I think that is everything new that I am getting from Marvel.
Cool. Thank you. Let's jump over to Eric.
Yeah, I've looked through this and, all I see mostly is the King in Black, which, I don't know. I know it's been set up in Guardians of the Galaxy, but it doesn't seem to be something that I want to look into. Really don't have anything new from Marvel aside from the stuff that I already have on my pull list this month.
Okay. Yeah, King in Black, at the time of this recording, just came out this week. I'm excited to get my copy in the mail. This is Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman basically doing another round of absolute carnage, kind of Venom, but Donny Cates likes to seed all of his, his character from, and now I'm just blanking on that villain name. Yeah, he's been telling this story, but this is basically what they've been amping up to in their next chapter. Null is the character. Yeah, this is their next little mini series. I'm excited for that one. My next pick, and actually I think my last one for a Marvel here, will be Eric talked about the Wolverine. Was it Black, White, and Blood? Is that what it's called? So there is issue 4. So I wasn't getting the other ones, but this one caught my attention because this actually introduces Stephen DeKnight, who comes from the Buffy Angel world, who then got even more famous with the Daredevil on Netflix for season 1. And now very currently he is doing Jupiter's Legacy over at Netflix with Mark Miller. So he's somebody that I've been following for at least the last 20 years or so and kind of dipping in and out of all of my favorite things. And Stephen DeKnight is taking a step into the Marvel comic universe, writing one of these stories here. Let's see. The bloody, brutal mayhem continues. Stephen DeKnight makes his debut in the Marvel Universe as he teams up with Paulo Sequeira to put the best there is through his paces on a bloody trip to the Savage Land. And then the other key name that got my attention was one of my favorite writers, Kelly Thompson, is going to be jumping in on a story as well. So a lot of great stuff in this one, it looks like. But that big draw was seeing Stephen DeKnight, which is cool. So I like seeing when some other writers I like in different mediums dip their toes into the comic universe. So that is Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, issue number 4. And anything left for Marvel from you, Kirby?
Yeah, you hit the Wolverine one. I just today read the first one, and I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of them. But I also missed out on the Shang-Chi when it started out. I wanted to get the first few, and because I like the covers, but they got the trade paperback version with the first 5 issues now, so that's another thing I want to grab. But other than that, it's all that King and Black stuff, which I'll wait till the next newest run of all the stuff gets over with, and I find them all in dollar boxes.
Cool. Then we will jump over to DC. Do you have anything to kick us off, Katie, from DC Comics?
I'm looking right now. I don't see anything new that I want for DC, but I'm totally open to doing a club pick from there. Although there's Scooby-Doo comics, and I'm always down to read that. So we'll say Scooby-Doo number 108.
Okay. Cool. All right, Eric.
Yeah, again, not really anything new. I mean, I see a lot of future state stuff, but there was one thing I saw in there that, I mean, I saw the Dark Detective, which is, Batman's future state thing. I look at that and I'm like, I don't know if it's just me, but he looks very heavily based off the Punisher. But other than that, there's really nothing that caught my eye.
I think that just looks weird because he's clearly Batman, so why he wouldn't just be Batman is, I don't know, but I'm not keeping up with any of that. It just seems weird to me.
Yeah, he has like the whole
is no longer Batman, but he's still going out and doing his Batman thing dressed up as Batman.
But it's weird. He's got like that tactical SWAT-like helmet with the bad ears and the spray-painted tactical vest. Is like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm mostly just looking for the future state to be over so I can get back to, the regular run of detective comics and action comics. So,
Cool.
not really coming out with DC right now.
Yeah, this will be the last month in February for the future state, doing 2 months, and then starting in March, a lot of the titles will return where they left off, but there are some elements from future state, if I'm not mistaken, that are going to maybe continue in other ways. And for instance, one of them, I'm getting the titles for the, I think it's the Wonder Woman one, which is something that's actually being developed right away for CW based off the character that's going to be in the future state. So that's kind of crazy that, there's a lot of things. One thing I was really excited because Joelle Jones is on that book. So I got super excited to kind of see that news already.
I don't know how exactly future state came about, but before COVID, if we remember, there was the this kind of generations thing or whatever. I forget what it was being called.
It was like the phone thing with the 5 in there.
5G.
Yeah.
It standing for Generation 1, Generation 2, and whatever. And they were going to have like this Generation 0, Generation 1, and so on. And it would basically end up having, and I thought it was supposed to be main continuity, current timeline, and that we would see a lot of our main characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, so on, being replaced and having somebody else, getting a new Superman, a new Batman, and so on. And it sounded like that was going to be kind of a main continuity thing. And then they nixed all that, G5 stuff and whatever. And you didn't really hear what the plan was, and then they came out with Future State. So I don't know if Future State was just some really condensed way that they could do these stories and explore what they were going to do and just have it be this temporary Future State thing, or what exactly happened there. And I don't know how much COVID played a part in that decision making, or if there was perhaps just maybe they were just looking at some of the fan reaction and going, hey, maybe this should just be more of a temporary thing. I don't know anything about what happened behind the scenes that led us to Future State versus what we were going to get.
A lot of it stemmed from Dan DiDio not being part of the company anymore, and that was also coinciding with the COVID hit. And from my understanding, just from the little that I know about, is that my guess is they probably had a lot of that work commissioned and ready to go, and that whole thing kind of, fell apart. And then with COVID, they were probably able to kind of restructure, especially with not Dan DiDio being there anymore. And it seems like, yeah, kind of what you said, this would be probably a condensed version that could just be a little bit, and then also, see what it would go from there. But yeah, for my DC picks is just the continuing of the Future States that I am getting. I'm just getting very few of them. So I really don't have anything new, but I'm going to give an exclusive early plug, a 1 month early, because today they announced the news that Swamp Thing is getting a new series starting in March for comics. So I'm very excited for that. So I'm just throwing that out there so everyone can plant those seeds and let it grow when you add Swamp Thing to your pull list this March. But you can't do it yet.
What, nothing, Eric?
No, not really.
I thought there might have been some wincing or something with the pun.
No.
He's just numb to it now. So,
you get in the hot tub, but eventually it's not hot anymore. It's just normal.
yeah, and I don't expect Eric to really branch out with any extra emotion reaction to it. So he's probably swamped with his kid anyways, just a lot of work around the house. And so
that's it.
Not easy to agree.
I expect more from you.
Okay. So I said what I needed to say. Then Kirby, anything from DC?
The one that I'm interested in, but I won't get it till later on down the road when it's cheaper probably. But Man Bat, Volume 4, Number 1. For years, Kirk Langstrom has struggled with his monstrous alter ego, Man Bat, and the serum that transformed him. But he's finally hit rock bottom following a devastating setback, and he's going to take his anger out on every single citizen of Gotham City. Will the combined might of Batman and the Gotham City Police Department be enough to stop Langstrom once and for all, or will this just be the start of Man Bat's devastation? I would say it's the start of his devastation since it's issue number 1, but the reason I want it is I love that cover that they have for this one. It's just Man Bat over the bat symbol and the wings coming down around it. It's a sharp looking cover, so I will buy it just for that down the road, but I'll wait till it's discounted. But yeah, everything right. It's just every month it's another grouping. It's like Future State, King in Black, Death Metal, Flashpoint. I mean, we really got to overload this shit so much. Can't we do one thing a year with each thing and have other comics come in? But yeah, there's not much to choose from other than ongoings and stuff like that. So.
Well, with that sharp cover, hopefully you don't cut yourself when you eventually get your hands on it.
I hope I can get a metal version.
You were just complaining about Dark Knight Metal.
No, I want to read the Death Metal. It's like now they have the trade pack version, but there's just so many things and off runs. It's like, do I really want to every month have to fork out $500 just to get one collection?
I was just going off the metal jokes. So.
I know, and I'm just shoving it down your throat because there's too many old man jokes in one episode.
Well, I don't even know where we are anymore. Katie, did you have anything yet?
No, not from the previous catalogs. So.
Okay. And Eric, you're good?
Yep.
I'm good. Kirby, any other thing to say about DC, or are you good? Okay. That is going to wrap it up for the Marvel and DC picks. There's a lot of stuff, though. We didn't talk about much. A lot of it being ongoings and events, as we heard. So check out those catalogs and make sure you subscribe to your titles and let your store know that you want them. All right, we have one final segment. There's a brand new segment we introduced last week on the show. Let's jump in to the Pocket Dimension. All right. The video for man, this is where the video people lose out because they're not going to get the awesome. Did you hear that, Kirby? What I put into the last week's episode?
No, I did not. I have yet to watch it.
Well, don't watch it because it won't be in the watch version.
It's on the audio.
Because I added what you threw your theme in there, and I added some flair to it, and I added some other special effects. So. That's one.
Kelly will fall asleep tonight while we listen to it.
Maybe that'll wake her up.
And for the video watching people, they get to see things like maybe I throw in some video effects for the transition to go into the Pocket Dimension, or something like that.
So you will throw something in there, okay?
Or maybe I won't.
We'll see. You have to tune in to find out. Cool. This is all behind the scenes action. Not on the audio version, which we are recording for right now. And before I properly go into the segment, myself and Katie, anyone else have anything to show off? A show and tell segment?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I will. Katie, since you're the one that brought it up, we can start with you, then go to Eric.
Okay.
So
sure.
I will go to you in just a second. Welcome to the Pocket Dimension. We are inside, and let's see what goodies are hiding inside this Pocket Dimension. Let's start off with Katie.
All right. So, because of the pandemic, I actually started collecting enamel pins. I have been filling up a little pin board that was gifted to me, and yeah, my Pocket Dimension lives in my car right now, or I guess my car is maybe traveling through the Pocket Dimension. So I'd actually known about this hobby for a few years. My cousin and her boyfriend are, really into it, and they always have really cool art pieces, and I admire them and appreciate them. But I'd never really bought in myself any. They'd given me a few as gifts. And then because of the pandemic, I had so much more time to be on my phone and connect with creators that I decided I'm going to put my little pin board to use and start filling it up. So obviously the ones that were given to me as gifts are very special. And then I have a whole bunch of Mandalorian pins. Because you remember, like, last year at this time, there wasn't really a whole lot of Mandalorian merch despite it blowing up. Well, I needed to rectify that. And then I have some Lord of the Rings inspired pins. Those are cool, especially because some of them are gifts. And then a pin that I really like a lot is actually from Galaxy's Edge. So it's just a little medallion, but when you go and build lightsabers, you get given a pin to wear on your shirt so that you know what lightsaber parts to get, and then you get to keep it. So that's really cool because it's a special memory and probably not something I'll get to do a lot. Let's see. So here's one of my favorites. You guys can probably guess what it's going to be. And I will also include pictures as well, just because it's, probably easier to see than these little things on a screen. Look at
the child.
The child, my precious baby little bean. Something cool about him is he has his ball, and he loves his ball, but it's magnetic. So you can sit on the tip of his hand, and you can take it and move it and go, here, take it, you can grab it. And then he'll go, zoom, and it'll pop back to his hand. So that's very fun. And the person who created this did so before season 2 was out.
That's awesome.
Shout out to the team at Punch It Chewy Press for being amazing artists and even more amazing human beings. Let's see, I'll show you one of the ones that's a gift. So it's pretty well tacked on there, but there's one that says bookworm, and it's worm like WYRM, and it's a dragon holding a book. That was a birthday present a few years ago, and it's very fitting because I am a bookworm and I love dragons and I love books. So it was super cute and a really thoughtful, unexpected gift. The same people went to the I gotta get the name right. Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal a few years ago, so they got me a Harry Potter pendant, which is very cool, very appreciative. I always want to call it Harry Potter World, which is not me being disrespectful. It's just very hard to say. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios Orlando, Florida. And then specifically, there's the the 2 parks there, but that's some theme park lore. So yeah, this is a cool thing out of the awful year that was 2020. Able to salvage something cool from it and start a new hobby. So enamel pins, check it out. Great way to get cool art and support artists.
Cool. Yeah, and just because you mentioned that, I'm always in arm's reach of a couple of my pins as well. I've got an awesome Betty and Veronica one that form a heart. So
that's nice.
The comic interpretation of Betty and Veronica. And then one of my favorite comedians, podcasters, and actresses, Lauren Lapkus. You can see her in Jurassic World and The Wrong Missy on Netflix. So there's an enamel pin for her. And this one,
cool.
I think Katie will recognize this person, one of Lauren's friends, who is Mr. Paul F. Thompson.
Oh!
PFT, Mr. Peanut Butter, I think, on that. What was that? He plays Mr.
That's
Peanut Butter on some anime.
Amazing. Very cool. I love that. Yes, that's true.
Oh boy. So all right, cool.
That's awesome.
Let's jump over to Eric.
So everyone knows that I'm a Superman. Oh wait, no, that's David.
Yeah.
I'm the Punisher fan. So I've amassed a couple things in my devotion to the character, shirts, even a homemade cosplay vest made from a real bulletproof armor carrier. But this one is perhaps my most expensive one. And this is one that I would not bring to a live comic club thing because it would make some people nervous. But here I'm home and I have observed all safety with this.
Oh boy.
But yeah, this is actually my customized Ruger SR 1911.
Oh.
Fully functional with custom Punisher grips. I even had it Cerakoted black because it's not exactly like what Thomas Jane had in the 2005, but yeah, anyone who knows me knows I have 2 really fun hobbies. One is comics, the other is safe recreational firearms usage. So I had to combine the 2, and like I said, this is perhaps the most expensive. If I ever get a more expensive piece, it'll probably have to be over $1,000, and my wife would probably kill me. So
you need to get yourself a coffin case for that pistol.
Ooh.
Well, that's a little harder to carry around because I do conceal carry a lot, and this is something that I do carry. And I pray to God I never have to use it. But
now you forgot.
No, that's cool.
You forgot to show the other side of the handle where it's the Franken-Cast.
I will never put that on a gun.
It's cool. It's a good looking piece.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
What I would put Franken-Castle on is toilet paper.
Hey, that's very valuable these days.
It is.
What a coincidence, because my next item is the Spider-Man Hulk toilet paper.
Oh my goodness gracious.
My next show and tell item here.
Wait.
You gotta be kidding me.
That can't be real.
That's fantastic. I love that.
So it's from, I want to say like 1978 or so, somewhere around there, but it is, this is the full story. And there's a giant roll of toilet paper. My buddy Sean, who was on the show about a month ago,
yeah.
He has the full roll of it. I found one that somebody was just selling it, the full story in the 7 or 8 sheets or whatever it is. So I thought it would be funny to frame it because it's the most ridiculous thing. And
yes, you should. That was a good decision.
And when 2020 started and all the paper towel and toilet paper shortage and all that kind of stuff, I thought it would be funny to I should hang a Mjolnir prop, and it says break in case of emergency, and then you can smash the glass here and get the.
How do you clean it between uses?
You know, you got to have a very gentle touch. You know, you got to have a good drying system. You know, good. You know, it takes a lot of practice, but I've really kept it in good use. But yeah, this is and it's fully readable, and yeah, that wasn't what I brought to the table, but I couldn't resist after he had mentioned that.
I was about
one of
to
the crappiest
say,
Spider-Man stories
that
ever, though.
would have been way too insane.
Yep. All right. So the item I actually was going to bring, I just got in the mail today. This is here's an action figure board for a retro style Swamp Thing action figure. This is done in Amiibo style. The way his outfit is basically looks like he's wearing Swamp Thing pajamas. There's even a little zip in the back there, a Velcro, and looks like he just has a he's like a jolly green giant under here with his green skin. But yeah, he's got a fluffy little moss neck pillow going on there. But yeah,
that's cool.
Basically looks like he's ready for hunting and he's in the woods or something based on this camouflage. But yep, it is designed in the retro style figure, and it came with a pretty cool board, which I will display behind him as well. But of course, I had to rip this puppy open because that's what it's here for. If he was in the box, I couldn't go like this.
Cool.
So, yep, that is the official World's Greatest Heroes limited edition line. This is from Figures Toy Company. .com.
So there was an actual plastic thing over that, then, right?
Yep. I got it's like the
How
big.
Did you get it off so cleanly?
What's that?
Oh, okay. I thought it was like something that was actually on the board itself. Because I was like, how did you get that off cleanly?
Oh, yeah. So this one, and they probably did that for, anyone that does rip it off. So yeah, this was, it wasn't pasted on here at all. So this card itself is untouched outside of the
heat gun.
What?
You can use a heat gun. Loosen the glue. Sometimes that'll work for removing stuff without damaging packaging.
I use the same tools when I clean my toilet paper.
Of course, you have to be careful using a heat gun on the plastic so you don't start to shrink or distort the plastic on them.
And that is an action figure tip from world-renowned sculptor and modifier David Cloyd. Thank you.
Now, for the footage of him unpackaging the Swamp Thing figure, you have to see our other YouTube video series, titled Kurt's Unboxing.
That would be great.
Which really should be a thing.
We brand it with his face and everything. He'll never know about it, but it's always, everything is just, we wear Kurt t-shirts and Kurt branded scissors. Cool. All right. That is going to do it then for this episode. I guess we jumped out of the pocket dimension. You'll hear that noise later somewhere. I'll figure out where that goes. Okay, so that is going to do it for this week of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast. Upcoming weeks for our club discussions. Next week, we're going to do Inkblot issue number 4. So on Saturday, December 12th, Inkblot number 4. Then on December 19th, Batman, The Adventures Continue, issue number 7. Then I just added this one. This is one where we found out we had a lot of people reading crossover. So on 12/26 or whatever happens, I mean, it's the day after Christmas, but we'll kind of see scheduling and what happens. So tentatively scheduled right now is crossover for December 26th at issue number 2. So all these titles have either just come out or on the verge of coming out. So we're going to kind of space them out throughout December there. Now that we just knocked off X-Ray Robot and completed that one, these are the current ones that we are doing. All right, that will do it for this show. This entire time, I've been in the crappy town where I'm the hero.
I drank too much coffee and really have to pee.
I've been Damon and Jim.
I'll take your bet. You're going to regret because I'm the best there's ever been.
I hope everything comes out all right for David.
To be continued. The end. All right.
Is David in charge of the recording?
He is, yes. The video side.
Of course.
He's got lots of sitting silent footage, I'm sure, the past few weeks.
Oh, I can see some movement. Here he comes. Not a ball movement, but
Yeah, I was going to say,
Oh,
you have
goodness.
a good
Okay, Anthony, I have to ask. You got that's actual literal toilet paper.
yes. So this was, let me see if there's a date on here, 1979, so the same year as that magazine and the Krypton holiday special. But yeah, this is a so 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like six sheets. So it's an original story. The story hasn't been reprinted anywhere beyond this toilet paper, but it's the same 6 panels for the entire roll. And I was looking at that, and I think at that time I bought this a couple years ago. I think it would have been maybe $80 for an entire untouched roll of it. But then I saw somebody was just selling this attached. All of it. It was I don't even remember how it was shipped, but based on trying to frame it and being very fragile, and that took a long time to get it looking right. But I found someone that was just selling the story, because then I bought it that way, and I maybe bought this is maybe $6 or $7, I think, for how about $1 a sheet. So when you're desperate, you would pay for $1 for a square. If you could spare a square, sure, but if you needed it, you could pay $1 for a square. But yep, this is a Spider-Man Hulk story, as David said. One of the crappiest Spider-Man stories ever.
So how was this sold originally? Did you go and buy a package of Quilted Northern and this was on it? Did it ship to comic shops? What was the deal?
That's a great question, especially, when this would have been there. So I don't know if it was a mail-in offer or something, maybe. Because I'm not sure when official comic shops would have actually, was that in the 80s when that actually an official comic shop, or were those in the 70s?
Sounds right.
But yeah, that's a great question. I would have just assumed it's probably a mail-in offer of mail-in for your roll of toilet paper. But yeah, it's one of the most bizarre items, and I love it.
You see, now
That's
I'm worried.
fantastic.
What weird thing or what random thing could I bring up that you can't pull out to show an artifact of?
He lives in a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff here. But it's all awesome. Yep.
I do have to say, you're perhaps the first person to actually get me interested to closely examine toilet paper. So
I never gave you that one roll that I had, David.
No, I don't recall any toilet paper.
It was a roll of toilet paper in a box, but I cannot remember what story it was or whatever. But
he used it during COVID.
I had it, and I don't remember selling it on eBay, so I thought I went with the stuff that I gave to you. But
No, I don't recall ever seeing toilet paper and that stuff.
You don't know.
There were some things that could have been used as toilet paper and that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Not that sword.
see why people don't buy the
Yeah, that's that you got to wipe gently.
Swipe gently. Swipe, slash the ash. Well, this is technically under the Cowl possible bonus material now, so
Oh,
I'm just laughing because this has got to be the most 2020 conversation ever. We're talking about paying $60, $80 for toilet paper. Wow, that's a little too real.
And if I use up that toilet paper, the next closest thing is a rock. Now you're wondering, okay, why does he just have a giant rock? I don't know if I showed this off, but a friend of mine, I commissioned her to pay. And actually, if you hold up the rock, he's not Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but hey, look, he's now in scale with the.
Hey,
So it looks like she did a pretty good job there. But yeah, this is
that's nice.
he painted a X-ray robot rock.
Very cool. I thought you were just gonna say I had a rock because it was kind of shiny and stuff, but that's amazing. Your collection is goals, man. You are hashtag goals.
I should remove this before I drop this on my keyboard.
Yes. Those Macs are expensive. You could buy like probably 10 rolls of toilet paper for the cost against the Mac.
Here is a patch that I got through the Yo-Yo Kickstarter. So it looks like I'm wearing an X-ray robot.
Where'd you go?
Oh.
X-ray robot.
Oh no, they get you too?
You jump through the pocket dimension.
Ooh. Yeah.
Whee!
That was a killer deal.
Going.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's about to wake up, so. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
All right,
Good
bye.
talking to you.
Good.
Yeah, I drank 2 cups of coffee, so I gotta go. Like David, go empty the bladder. So I'll see you guys sometime, if not sooner than later, Wednesday night.
Everybody make appointments for Garage Day Comics. I
Yep.
recommend.
Available before you want to come before the gets below 0. So.
Yeah.
You guys have a good one.
In Wisconsin, could be any day now.
Yeah. And it'll be 50 the next day.
Yep. It could be June. So, all right. Well, I got to get going too. I've been informed that dinner would be promptly at 6, which I said, why don't you make that a little past 6, just in case.
6:04.
I better get going, or I'm going to be getting yelled at soon. So.
All right. It's been good.
It has. Bye everybody. Take care.
So long. Anthony, real quick before you go, I wanted to just check with you because I realized we finished Under the Cowl without doing our episode name. So I'll throw one in there. I can go back and look at it. Actually, you had a suggestion. I was going to say you had a suggestion. What was it? But that just dawned on me. Hey, I've got it recorded on video. I can go back and look at it. It was something with
I don't remember.
something with a log or something.
Yeah, I honestly don't.
But we never recorded it, so I'll have to go in and do that one as I'm preparing to edit it. So
Okay.
all right. So I guess I don't need you. I'll go back and find out from a few days ago.
Good, because I wouldn't be able to help you right now. I wouldn't know.
All right.
All right. See you later.
Okay.